So this is the final lesson, and this deals with Semantic HTML. And so as usual, make sure to read through. Then it just says to analyze the diagram and see the differences that each one of these has. So the first thing we're going to do here, it says in the code editor, we're going to find the div ID header, and we're going to change it to header. So instead of div ID, this is simply going to be header. Next, it says find the div ID nav tag and change it to nav. So again, these are just backstage things that you can't really see yet. Okay, and next it says in the code editor, we're going to find the div ID main. And we're just going to change this to main. Notice that it looks a lot more streamlined without all of the div IDs and everything here, because we just have simple words like main and header. And I'll do the same thing for the footer. So I'm changing div ID footer to simply footer. Okay, next it says in the code, find and replace div ID section. So that's going to be here. And replace the corresponding closing div with a closing. And it also says that when you take out the div tag, make sure that you remove the ID that's attached to it. So here's my div ID section. So I'm changing this just to section, and I'm changing this to be a section closing. So it says to encapsulate the H2 and paragraph tag with article. So I'm going to go above the H2. I'll type in article. And then I'll also do a close article. Below this closing paragraph. Okay, now I'm going to do or use the aside element. So it says to remove the div ID aside. And so here it is, and we're going to simply replace it with aside. And it also says to don't forget about the closing tag. So that means I need to change this closing div to a closing aside. Okay, next it says to create an opening and closing figure tag under the closing section. So here's my closing section, and it says create figure tag here. And I'll do a closing one as well. And then it says to add an image within the figure using this URL. Okay, so I'm going to copy this image source, and I'm going to put that beneath my opening figure, but in front of my closing figure. And I'm going to use this URL. And so here's the image for that. Now I'm going to create a fig caption under the image and then describe it. So I'll copy this. This is going to still go above the end figure here, or the closing figure. And I'm just going to change this to this picture shows an image of a dog. Okay, so now if you take a look at your image and you scroll down, you have the caption that you typed in. Now we're going to get into inserting an audio file. Excuse me. And the code looks like this. So we're going to start by doing an audio, but the instructions say in the code editor to create an audio tag with the attribute controls directly underneath the code line. So I'm going to click where it says create audio tag here, and I'm going to type in audio controls. And it didn't say to do it yet, but I am doing a closing audio tag as well. So next it says to add a source for the audio inside the audio tag by using this code. So I'm going to select this. Okay, and then beneath audio controls, I'm going to hit my enter key and type in the source code. Okay, and then this is a source that I'm going to use. So I'm copying this and I'm going to paste this in between these quotation marks here. I think because this is just an example, it's not working, but we did do it correctly. We know it did go correctly because this does have the green check mark. Next, we'll work on a video. And it says to add the following video URL with the attribute controls and wrap it in an opening and closing video tag. So let's see where it says create video and embed tag here. So I'm going to start with a video tag. And we do need to do the controls. And it says in between the opening and closing video. So I am going to do a closing video as well before I forget. And it also tells us that we can add a text that will show up if the video is unable to load. Okay, so I am given the HTML source for the video. This is going to be pasted after our opening video. This is the MP4 link that we're putting in here. And let's see what else we need to do. It did say that we could include video not supported as well if you wanted to. And so depending on the person or the web page viewer's computer settings, they may or may not be able to watch this video. Okay, next we're going to add the following GIF into our code using the embed tag. Okay, and this is what the embed tag will look like. And I'm going to copy this. Okay, and I'm going to use this GIF as the link. Okay, so here's our GIF right below our video. And so again, if you want to, feel free to edit your code to see any changes that you can make on your own. So I'm going to click on Up Next and then return to syllabus. And hopefully, if you correctly did anything, all of these lessons are completed. You'll notice that the quizzes and projects, those aren't completed because those are part of the Pro account, and I don't expect you to, have to pay for it on your own. I'm just going to quickly adjust my screen. So to show that you've actually completed all of these Codecademy lessons, what you're going to do is to click your profile button, and that's up here. You'll then click on Profile. And then what you need to do is to copy the URL. So you can right-click on it, click on Copy. And then in Laulima, you'll be able to paste the link. Because I'm in my instructor view, I don't have the option to paste it, but you'll have this text box to just paste the URL in here, and then you'll submit it. So it's really important that you do actually create your login so that it saves all of your work. If you don't create a sign-in or login, then it won't save your work and I won't be able to see any of your progress. So if done correctly, I should be able to see your badges, and that's just listed here.